Welcome to Algebra 2C. We're working on the review for quiz 9.1 to 9.3, which is based off of transformations and parent functions. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do for each problem is I'm going to write out what the transformation is and describe what the shape is. So this is square root, so this is our swimmer's arm, or it's our Angry Birds, however we talked about it in class. Okay, the original is going to be in black, and the red is going to be the final answer. So, my transformation, this plus 2 is on the outside of the square root. So the transformation is up 2. Okay, so that's the only transformation I have. So here's my original, my parent function, which you guys should have done already on the first 15-minute graph. Okay, so then I'm going to take that, and I'm going to move every point up 2. Up 2, up 2, and now I have my new graph. Okay, the domain, all possible x values. Notice how the only x values are the ones that are right of the y-axis. So my x values are x are greater than or equal to 0. My y values, they're all above. If you look at y equals 0, that doesn't touch the graph. It starts at y is 2. So my domain is y is greater than or equal to positive 2. Okay. The next one, it is squared, so it's a quadratic or a parabola, a U shape. Okay, so let's describe the transformation. Let's move it down a little bit. So the transformation is there's a reflection because of the negative sign up front. Okay, so there's a negative sign right here. And the 1 is on the inside of the square. So remember, it's opposite, so it's going to be left 1 unit. Okay, so I'm going to draw my original in black. Here's my U shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis, and I'm going to move it to the left 1. So I'm going to move each point to the left 1 after it's been reflected or flipped upside down. And there's my new graph. Okay, let's look at the domain. It goes negative infinity to the left, positive infinity to the right, so it's all reals. And now it's flipped upside down, so y is not going to be greater than or equal to 0, it's going to be less than or equal to 0. Okay, the next one, it's a cubic. Okay, so remember this is the snake here. Okay, so I'm going to draw my original. Here's my snake. Okay, since the negative 2 is on the outside, this one's moving down 2. Okay, so now I'm going to take each point of my 3, move them down 2, and here's my new graph. You notice how for both domain and range, you're going to negative infinity to positive infinity, so it's going to be all reals. Okay, the next one, this is absolute value. This is our V shape. Okay, so I'm going to draw the original. Put my 3 points up there. Here's my V. Okay, let's describe the transformation. The 1 is on the inside, so we're going to move to the left 1. Remember, it's opposite. And that 2 is on the outside of the absolute value, so it's going to be up 2. Okay, so now I'm going to take each point and I'm going to move it to the left 1, up 2. To the left 1, up 2. To the left 1, up 2. And now I have my new absolute value graph. Okay, the domain going to negative infinity to a positive infinity, so we have all reals. But the range now, the lowest y value is positive 2, so everything's going to be greater than or equal to that 2. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Okay, here are the last 4. So we have the negative out front, so there's going to be a reflection. And that 1 is on the inside of that square root, so it's going to be opposite of negative, so it's going to be to the right 1. Okay, this is a square root, so here's our original. Okay, that's swimmer's arm or the Angry Birds. And now we're going to reflect it over and move every point to the right 1. So, reflect it over, move every point to the right 1. Reflect it over, move every point to the right 1. Reflect it over, move every point to the right 1. So now, there's our new graph. Okay, the domain might be a little tricky here. Notice where the x values start. The lowest x value is at positive 1. So x has got to be greater than or equal to positive 1. Now, the maximum for y values is 0. Everything else is less than that. So y has got to be less than or equal to 0. Okay. Number 10, we're dealing with a quadratic again. So this is a U shape. The only transformation we see here is down 2 because it's on the outside of that square. Okay, so I'm going to draw my original. Okay, Then I'm going to take all three of those points and I'm going to move them down 2. Down 2, down 2, down 2. And now here's my new U shape. Okay, let's describe that domain and range. Domain goes to negative infinity to positive infinity, so we get all reals. And the range, that lowest y value is at negative 2. So everything's got to be greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, the next one, this is a cubic again. That 1 is on the inside of that cubic. So that means it's going to be opposite, right? So if it's negative 1, that means we're moving right 1. Okay, so I'm going to draw my original. And now I'm going to take each point and move it to the right 1. To the right 1, to the right 1, to the right 1. And now I have my new graph. Let's talk about the domain and range. Notice how it goes to negative infinity to positive infinity in both directions, left, right, and up, down. So we have all reals. Okay, let's talk about the last one. Absolute value. This is our V shape. In this case, there are two transformations. We have the reflection. And since that 2 is on the outside, this is going to be down 2. Okay, so we're going down 2 units because this 2 is on the outside of the absolute value. So let's draw the original. We have our UV shape here. And now I'm going to take each point, I'm going to reflect it, move it down 2. Reflect it over, move it down 2. Reflect it over, move it down 2. And now I have my new graph. The domain, negative infinity to positive infinity. So we have all reals. And now the range, look how that highest value is at negative 2. Everything is less than it, so y has got to be less than or equal to negative 2. Okay, one quick thing before you finish off. Remember the difference between left and right transformations compared to up and down, or horizontal and vertical. Remember, it's going to be horizontal if it's inside the equation, in the sense that if it's inside the cubic, or inside the square, or inside the square root, or absolute value. That means left or right, and that's going to be opposite. So if the negative 1, like if you're looking at number 9, if it's a negative 1 on the inside of it, it's going to be opposite. That's why it's moving to the right one. Okay. Now if you look at number 10, when we're dealing with vertical shift, if it's on the outside of that expression, so if it's on the outside of the square, outside of the cubic, that means it's going to directly variate with it in the sense that if it's negative, it's going down. If it's positive, it's going up. That's why for number 10, it's on the outside and it's negative, so it's going down. Okay? Good luck, guys.